bunch of clean dudes hanging out here today on EC Radio. It's Local Music Monday. How are you? You can follow along on all Disruption Network social media platforms, and that's going to be wrapped up into a podcast that you can listen to at your discretion, at your leisure, at disruptionnetwork.net. Much love to the sponsors. If not for the sponsors, this podcast is not possible. Thank you so much to Eddie Alsheimer and his crew over at EJA Moving Services, the professional movers. When you're ready to move and relocate, hit them up at 315-335-0516. They do office moves. They do gym equipment. They pretty much move whatever you need. They'll even transport your car to wherever it needs to go. So hit them up at ejamoving.com or hit them up on the telephone. Do they still call it the telephone anymore?
I don't know.
I don't know either. 315-335-0516. If you need legal help, call my attorney, Dave Longaretta, at 315-735-6162. Shout out to my peeps over at Utica Coffee, though I'm drinking out of the Drive mug. So big ups to my friends over at the Drive, Genesee Joe and Mindy and everybody over there bringing classic rock and the rock to the local aspect on the radio dial. So, but big ups to my friends over at Utica Coffee. WakeTheHellUp.com. You can find them online. Also, shout out to Saranac Brewery. Like I said, if not for the sponsors, this podcast isn't possible. The D isn't possible. So thank you so much to our sponsors. We got a lot of love and respect. Speaking of love and respect, somebody I have so much love for, my man, my co-host, my tag team partner, my brother, Justin Smithson. How you doing, bud?
What's up, man? Good to see you.
How was your weekend?
Awesome.
Yeah?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, just kind of uneventful, actually. It was, I had the weekend off from playing, but Toto got back together. And, Toto got back together, and they got, you know the band Snarky Puppy, right?
Fanboy!
Yeah, oh yeah, you know the band Snarky Puppy, right?
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
Of course.
So Sput, the drummer from Snarky Puppy's playing with Toto now.
Whoa.
Ghost Note.
Yeah,
Dominic Xavier had been touring with them since 2018. He's back. They got the bass player from Huey Lewis and the News. Yeah,
So they did a live stream?
Yeah, they did a live stream, and it was I think it was 75 minutes. I mean, it was like.
Was it a pay-per-view thing?
Yeah, you paid a ticket for $15. You know that Vice app or whatever it's called, Vice TV or Vice something. Or Dice, that's what it's called.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so it was right on that app, and then it was whatever streaming service you want to go to, it brings you to that, and they chose YouTube, so.
Wow, very cool.
Like a YouTube link, so it was really cool, yeah.
That's the way it's going nowadays, man.
Yeah.
It's the way it's going. Live streaming is where it's at.
Absolutely.
Our guest today, Tony, Uncle Charley and the Meatballs.
That's right.
Good to see you, brother.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming down, man.
Yeah.
You must be a proud Steelers fan right now, huh?
Yeah, it's weird.
Isn't it
It's weird.
What are they, 0-10 now?
Yeah.
Isn't it weird to watch football now? You said it's weird.
It is.
It's just like, I don't know. It's just so different.
It's hard to be excited about it. Like,
Sure.
They're 10-0, but.
The problem I have with it is like there's these quadrillionaires making all this money where most of the country is struggling right now.
Sure.
And so I'm supposed to root for this guy who's making $5 million per down.
Right.
You know? I can't get excited about it.
A lot of people are saying that.
Yeah. Let's not get into that.
No.
though.
No.
We're here to talk music and Uncle Charley and the Meatballs, man. So on 4th of July, I had this bash over at Addie's house. Adeline, shout out to Adeline Van Dyke and the Property Sisters. We had a nice little shindig at her house.
Yep.
And we were just sitting around the house one day like, I'm going to throw a party at your house. And she's like, all right, see, go ahead. So I did. And so we called up Tony, and these guys were like right there to play, man.
So
and
cool.
they brought the house down, man. They did. And we were all social distancing and stuff, but they were killing it, man. And what's your guitar player's name?
Colin Roller.
Colin. I keep calling him Kayak.
He showed up.
We're both messing up names here.
Yeah, dude. We're at that age where we start forgetting everybody's name. But that kid's a shredder. Where'd you find that kid?
He was from Rome, and my cousin, our bass player, Frankie Grimaldi, was in a separate project with him, work-related. They all worked together, hence the name. And, they did Saranac last year.
Uh-huh.
And opened it up. But he's been playing with them, and then we were cycling through, and he came along and just kind of fit in.
Justin, have you heard the kid play?
I have not yet.
He's a freaking shredder.
That's what I hear.
I was so impressed with him. And you know me, I don't really get impressed too much anymore.
Sure.
You know, I'm just I'm jaded.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the kid was like jaw dropping, and then he's got this smile and presence about him.
That's
I'm
awesome.
like, wow, this kid's got
He's
some
always
talent.
smiling.
Yeah, he's always smiling. You want to punch him, he's smiling so much.
Yeah, I've gotten that too myself. So, I mean, I definitely feel for the guy.
Yeah.
I really do.
Oh, my
Definitely.
God. But you guys out there, if you haven't heard of Uncle Charley and the Meatballs, please go check him out. He also did Summerfest last year, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was wicked fun. I mean, we were looking forward to doing a lot more of that this past summer.
Sure.
Obviously, didn't. But before we go any further, you brought up Toto. I have to say, best ballad ever written. I'll be over you.
Oh, hands down.
by
My
far.
man. All right.
And-
Yep, I agree.
But yeah, you must have went pretty far down the list to get us at your party, but
No, not at all, bro. No, it
we
wasn't.
figured everybody else had plans.
Well,
so it was
You
like,
told me though. You told me that they were the ones you were going to call. We're going to call
Well,
Uncle
no,
Charley.
I had made a post, and
Right.
then I kind of just like, nah, not them, nah, not them. Uncle Charlie.
Yep.
It was kind of like that. It was,
Yeah.
you know,
They were your
process
first
of
pick.
elimination.
They were your first pick, though, is what I'm saying. Like when you were looking at the list, it was like, bam, there they were. So
Well, the thing was, is it's more of like what can adapt to the audience that's going to show up to the party,
Sure.
and that was you guys all day,
Yeah.
by far. I mean, you guys touch on classic rock. You're playing a lot of blues.
Yep.
I mean, you guys are just kind of all over the spectrum.
yeah, we
awesome.
try and keep it interesting. I mean, all of us come from different backgrounds and stuff, so it all meshes together. I mean,
right.
there's only one Adam Bishton around too. That's our harp player, man.
Man.
He's-
Wow.
He shreds.
Yeah.
He does. He's a shredder. They all you guys, man. Everything that you guys are doing.
thank you.
It's good stuff. How long has Uncle Charlie been a thing now?
It's tough to say. I mean, the actual Uncle Charlie and the Meatballs has been about over 2 years now. This March, I think, will be 3. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it was kind of like a reincarnation of Sour Mash, which was our original blues band, because it was still me and Adam, and then Frankie, our bass player. That's kind of where he cut his teeth playing live, was with Sour Mash.
So it's kind of keeping the beer theme going. I like that.
Yeah. Alcohol,
It's the blues, man.
Party time.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to believe. And like I was telling you, I was thinking about what I was going to talk about coming in here. Like, I see all these phenomenal people you got running through, like, just awesome. And so I'm like, well, what am I going to do now, But
Come on.
I was
Yeah.
thinking, like,
You can hold a conversation,
well,
can't you?
well, I've been doing it for 20 years now, and it didn't occur to me till I actually stopped and thought about it.
Right, yeah.
I
Really?
started with Stage Road back in 2000.
Oh, wow.
I remember that.
Yep.
Yeah. Our first show, I think, was at Virgo Bat.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
I played there a couple times years ago, yeah.
Yeah.
I totally forgot you played with Stage Road.
Yeah, those guys. That was the first band I was in, and auditioned with like 4 other people. Like floored when they called me back and said, because I learned like 15 classic rock songs in my parents' basement, and that's how I got started.
Wow.
They taught me what it was like to be in a band, and that's how I met Jose. Was through
Yeah.
them. That's how I met Carmen Carmonica. Was through Stage Road.
I feel like Stage Road, there was like right before they hired you or something. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I know that there's been a couple times where Jose has had to do this, but there was one night that it was right when they lost the drummer. They had a gig and Jose had to play bass or had to play drums or something.
It might have been me. It might
right.
have been when I left.
Oh, when you left?
Yeah.
Oh.
It might have been.
All right. Well, either way, it was like Jose played drums, and I think it was maybe Clinton at the tavern or something. I don't know. I
Yeah,
can't remember
yeah.
what he said, but it was Jose had to play drums for Stage Road, and I was like, oh, all right.
Yeah, it was like in between Stage Road and Sour Mash. I was playing with my buddy Larry Gillio from high school, and it was right in between there. Like, we were arguing stuff, and again, I was young. I was 20 years old when I
Yeah.
started, so I get to like. It's funny too because now I'm 41, and when I started that band, I was 20. They were all in their 40s. I'm like playing with all
Sure.
these old guys and stuff. It's
Right,
like,
right.
You realize it after the fact. Like it's kind of. So we weren't, meshing on what songs we wanted to do, what direction we wanted to go. And I kind of had this other thing starting out, so it was rocky when I left. We're real cool now. Like I love Eddie. We keep in touch still.
That's awesome.
Nice.
And we had a phenomenal guitar player when we started, Hal Albert, but he had passed away. He had a brain tumor. But he was another one that just taught me like you can't just show up and just play what you want to play. Like, I mean, it's a job.
Sure.
And he was one of the first people to tell me, like, when you messed up, he let you know. So,
Yeah.
he was one of the first people to put me down that road. And then after Sour Mash, Larry had left. He went down to try his luck down in Nashville. And then I hooked up with Spencer, my boy there. And I think that started, last left, we were at a Showtime show at 12 North, I think it was.
Yeah.
And he talked to me because I knew Spencer through the Blues Jams, and he was like a 12-year-old kid shredding and
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
Like,
I remember.
and so he was like, "Hey, I want to start a new project. I need a drum. Count me in." I had nothing
Right.
going on at the time, and That's where I learned like it was a job, and that's that kid. He was 10 years younger than me and taught me probably more than anybody I'd played with. So I mean, that's my little brother.
How about the Jose connection there too? Jose was the first bass player in Last Left.
Yes,
was he really?
Yeah, the very first gig they played at Gigi's, and up there in Old Forge, Jose was the bass player because you guys were in between bass players at that time, right? Like waiting to audition or whatever. And Jose, you guys had a gig, and Jose was like, "I'll cover it." So, it's just there's always been, I don't know. I feel like when you started with Last Left, like that was right about the time where all the Utica musicians kind of really came together and was like we became a community because it was like we all realized I think at once that we're all in the same boat. You know what I mean? We're all trying. We can all have a piece of the pie. We don't have to be oh well, screw these guys or screw these guys like it used to be in the late '70s, early '80s around here. You know what I'm talking about, but. It was just nice to see, and we all do the same thing still. Somebody gets sick or whatever, we call somebody else, and usually, just keep going. The show must go on, so.
Yeah, I think that was one of the weekends. That's a funny story, too, because that was one of the weekends I think you guys were up at Dacres. So he came down and played with us for the earlier show, and we shot back up to Dacres. And my second daughter was born that weekend.
Oh, my
She was
God.
born on like a Thursday, and I had a Friday, I think Lenny Milano Jr. filled in for me. And then I shot up the next day for the weekend and played up there. My daughter just came home or whatever. I still catch flack for that.
Lenny, you want to play this gig? Yeah. I think I could do that. I think I could do that. Question for both of you, since you spent some time with Last Left and you, of course, being in Showtime, the Varick Street tour on Thursday nights. Now. You could play you could pretty much play on Varick Street, I feel like, every Thursday night. Does that bother you in a way that, like, you're going up against, say, your buddies that are playing at Lucan's or whoever's playing at Celtic Harp and you're playing at Sickenburger, and then the constant being on the Varick Street tour, does that get annoying after a while? Or?
Well, for me, I can honestly say that I believe it should be spaced out. I mean, like, when Saranac really got popular and you started getting into the thousands of people at Saranac, we were going every week. So we played the Celtic Harp once, maybe twice a month, you know what I mean? Or we play Sickenburger once, maybe twice a month. And and it got to the point where it's like, all right, we're going to pick these three places, and however it lines up, we'll play. So we make sure we're at the Celtic Harp once a month. We'll make sure we're at Lucan's once a month. You know what I mean? So it's like the way that it was. But
do you feel it's too much though?
Yes and no. I mean, I thank God there's been other bands that have come in, and all these bars have started to work some other bands in, because, I mean, for a while it was Last Left and Showtime and Gridley Page
and The
Bomb. It was like the four bands. Every week you'd see the same bands at different bars. And, granted, every show's different, no matter if you're a cover musician or an original musician. I mean, somebody, is going to, be funny on stage. It's a different show. We talk to the crowd different. We play different music. It is what it is, but still, you're saturating the street with the same music. And so that became annoying. As far as competing with other bands, I never felt that way, especially when the crowds at Saranac got into the thousands, because once that happened, I mean, it spread out. Once they went down the street, and I mean, let's say you had 3,000 people at Saranac, you still had close to 1,000 people that maybe didn't want to go to Saranac that week, but they still wanted to hit Varick Street and go out, so, I mean, there was thousands of people on the street, 5, maybe 6 bars at the most at any given time, and they having live music. You have 6 different bands. Spread the love, man. It was all, and people did the same thing. They would go to Celtic Harp first, and they'd work their way down the street,
right,
and then the DJ at 11 o'clock, and that was how it was, So, I mean, the crowds fluctuate, and, each bar had their own busy time, you know what I mean? So, I don't know. As far as that went, I never felt like anybody was in competition with each other. But as far as playing, like, oversaturating Varick Street, yeah. And so, like, when I started seeing some other bands coming in and playing, I thought that was cool.
Yeah, it mix it up a little bit.
Right.
Yeah, I was wondering if you ever thought about the oversaturation.
Oh, yeah. Every year I think about it, and it's like I don't book the band, so, like, when I like get, like, a little, when I see the calendar events start popping in for Saranac and stuff, and so it's like, and it was really annoying back when we used to play, like, we'd do, like, Saranac, the actual Saranac Thursday, and then the very next week we'd be at the Celtic Harp.
Right.
And it's like, I mean, maybe if we were at Lucan's or Sickenburger down the road, it would have been like a different thing. But we're directly across the street a week later, and it's like, to me, it's like kind of
But it wouldn't affect the numbers at all, though.
It never did.
No,
No,
it
it
never
never did. And you know, we always get the same thing. I mean, you know, we're you have to understand, people at home. We're a local band trying to survive. We're taking gigs when we can take gigs, and you know, we're going to take a Saranac gig if it comes in. It is. We do it to benefit. I mean, it's to benefit the United Way, and so we're not taking. You know, it's the lowest paying gig we have all year.
Right.
You know what I mean? So. But it's the opportunity for all of us to be on a big festival stage once a year and play to 3,000 people. You know, who's going to turn that down? I mean, so when you guys at home see the same bands up there, it works for them to be there. You know,
Right.
and we're giving those bands an opportunity to, you know, to showcase themselves in front of a big crowd. And I just think it's a great thing that Saranac does, and you know, a great thing that Varick Street does. I mean, it's a constant every year. And you know, I feel lucky that, you know, us and Gridley Page were the first two bands to ever play at Saranac.
Yep.
And there was 40 people, 3 picnic tables, and a beer trailer.
Yep.
You know what I mean? We were under a pop-up
Stage
tent.
Road did that too.
Stage Road did it, yep.
And I was one of the 40 people in attendance.
You were, yes, you were.
I was
The,
there.
the stage was like picnic tables put together.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it was like that's
Yeah.
the stage under a yellow tent.
Yeah, but that was for the Fall Fest, too. Do you remember when they put it up against that one area over there? And that was awesome. It was like middle of October. It was like 50 degrees out. And we're all on stage, like big hoodies. And like, I always thought that there should have been, and we may want to figure out something here to do, like a local music festival once a year where one day you have all these different bands cycling through, because I miss that. Like
Me too.
you know, Hannah Park used to have it, you know, like fireworks over Utica, something like that. But, you know, something where you're having a, you know, like Taste of Syracuse has it. I mean, 3 days they have bands just cycling through, and it's just so cool to go and listen to different music. And, you know, why does it have to be one genre? You could have a blues band, you could have a classic rock band, you could have this, you know, have a big regional act come in and play and finish out the weekend. I mean, it's just have fun. You know what I mean? Let's just bring fun back into the area. That's what I'm.
That was the
all
biggest
about.
compliment I've ever gotten, and it was from Mark Sistai, who I don't think hands out compliments very often. But the Al Nathan show was about everybody being there, getting to watch everybody, because
Yeah.
you're not playing here while the other band's playing somewhere else. You don't get to interact
Yeah.
and watch each other and hang out with each other.
Dude, you did an
And,
incredible
he
job
said-
with that, by the way.
It was my brainchild, but
Yeah.
it was the team I had working. It were
For sure, but I mean,
It's
what
unbelievable.
what an event, man! It was such an incredible event for a
really was.
great man, and I can honestly say that you probably shouldn't have all those bands in one place at the Stanley, because you can get in trouble. At least we can.
it was something.
Just running around drinking and partying with Spencer and Sheppy. That's what I did the whole time. I just ran around with those guys all over at Stanley. That was fun.
Yeah, and Al was a great man too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he really was.
And he's missed dearly around here.
Absolutely.
That's for sure. One of the hardest working dudes that
He
have
never
ever
slept.
lived.
I don't think he
I
ever-
don't
No,
think he
how
ever
could
slept
he?
either.
What time you wake up? Like 3:30 in the morning to get to Old Forge to make donuts,
Yeah.
and then he'd go teach.
Then he go teach, and then
Then
after
gig.
that, then he
Then he
go
would
gig.
gig.
Then he gig.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, how the hell did he pull it off? Every day, and
Yeah.
that went every day.
Yeah.
And he's another one. Without him, I wouldn't have made all the connections and played with all the people. Like
For sure.
With you know, what we were doing in the beginning with Uncle Charley and the Meatballs, playing with John Hudson and George Devin.
Wow.
I met all those guys through Al.
Yeah.
Yeah, great man.
Incredible.
Great man. I had his cousin on here recently from he's a Las Vegas casino
Yes,
exec. And
yes.
that was one of my most favorite podcasts I did in 2020 was
Yeah, that's cool.
talking to Artie Nathan and just his connection. So he would come here every summer, and him and Al would get together and they just jam in the camp in Old Forge.
So cool.
I'd love to have been a fly on the wall listening to those guys play.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, his son, you heard what happened to his son, right? To Seth?
There was a fire,
There was
right?
a fire at his studio. He lost just about everything. And, like, he had so much vintage equipment. I mean, he was the type of guy, too. I remember I played a gig with him at the House of the Good Shepherd for the Christmas show. And he literally we were in the middle of rehearsal, and his eyes bug out of his head, and he gets all excited. And there's, like, Marshall, the Silver Jubilee, the 25th anniversary, you know, the gray cover Marshalls, they're coveted. Bob Akviva used to play them.
Yep.
And but he found them in Pennsylvania, like dirt cheap. And he like literally rented a trailer or a U-Haul, drove all the way down there and bought them both and brought them back. And like this guy was just always on the hunt for all this vintage equipment, and he lost. Oh my God, he lost so much. And
what a shame.
my heart breaks for him because he, he had a good thing going there. He really got to the point where he felt his studio was, doing well and doing what it should be doing, and my heart breaks for him. So
Bummer. Absolute bummer. We do got a couple people checking in. John Caprero saying 2 great musicians right there.
oh, I love you, Johnny.
So, shout out. You guys should get together and collaborate maybe one of these days.
We've invited him to come to the Swifties gigs a couple times. He's always too busy, though.
Have you ever played together?
No.
No? We
No.
got to make that happen. We do got to make that happen. Our boys checking in.
Who?
Guess who?
I don't know. Is it Jeff?
Nope.
Is it Tommy? His other brother that
Nope.
nobody ever talks about?
Nope. Is he like the Chuck Cunningham?
When I first started working for them, I got introduced to Tommy the first time. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Had no idea they had another brother.
Yeah.
No clue.
Chuck Cunningham.
Right.
I love it.
Shout out to Tim Moyer, everybody. Tim Moyer, yay!
Yay. GP Entertainment.
265 weeks in a row we mentioned his name.
Exactly,
All right.
exactly. We mentioned this. He's our unofficial sponsor of Local Music Monday. I want to say that the Disruption Network is the official sponsor of Wind Down this week. So
That's awesome.
I think it's this week.
Which they'll be moving to Twitch after the first of the year, everybody.
For
So,
sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Everybody should be getting on Twitch, by the way. That's where it's at right now. But Moyer's saying the first Saranac was under 110. He don't even think there was a stage.
There wasn't a stage. The very first Saranac, because him and I go back and forth, because and it's never an argument. It's just we wonder who was the first, because it was one of the two. Whoever played the first one, the other one played the second one.
Mm-hmm.
But it was the same thing. It was on the blacktop underneath, like it looked like
Yellow and white tent.
yeah, yellow and it was just like this little. No, the yellow and white tent though was. After that was a bigger tent. This was like a carport, like pop up.
I don't remember that one.
Pop up thing in the middle of the parking lot, and I'm talking literally 3 or 4 picnic tables. And they had remember that old Saranac beer trailer? It was like the size of your desk.
Yes.
That thing, and it must have had like 2 or 3 kegs in it or whatever. And there was like 40 people, and I'm like, I remember walking away from it going, "Oh man, that really sucks. I wish more people came there." Oh man, probably not going to happen next year, but it was like one of those things that you never would have known it. And all of a sudden, bam! It was like exploded, and everybody, So it was us and Gridley Page, or Gridley Page than us, but it was.
It took a little bit. It took maybe a couple of years for Saranac to really get going. Because I remember when I opened the bar, 03. Well, I opened it in 02, but 03 was the summer, and it just started to explode. And then when it really went to another level is when they got their partnership with Creative Concert.
Sure.
And that was in 05. And Humphreys McGee was the very first national band to ever play on that stage.
Really? I did not know that.
There's a fun fact for you.
That's cool.
But it was Humphreys McGee.
That's cool. What a great band.
Dave Bandage checking in. Some great times at the Dev with Al, Sour Mash, and others back in the day for Blues Nights.
Wow.
Go Tribe.
Yeah, go Tribe. Are you an Indians fan too?
I am.
Are you?
Yeah.
Ah.
I got so much respect for you, man. Living in New York, being a Steelers fan and a Tribe fan, that's freaking amazing.
How does that happen?
I got family in Canton.
Oh, gotcha.
And they're diehard Indians fans. And
That's
I was
awesome.
never much of a baseball fan to begin with, but I'd spend my summers out there, Football Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
I'd go out and live with my aunt, my cousins for a couple weeks when I was a kid, and that's the baseball I watch, so that's who I follow.
Yeah.
That was the first baseball stadium I was ever in.
Yeah.
I don't know which one was there, and I think it was the current stadium in
Progressive Field?
98 or 99.
Jacobs Field.
Jacobs,
And so like I literally went. We were there to see the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in high school, and they got us tickets to see the baseball game. What they didn't tell us was we were in the grandstand in left field, the last possible row up that you could be. And I always thought nosebleed seats was like a figure of speech until I got 4 that night. I got 4 nosebleeds. I literally was up in the top. I had to keep walking down to the bottom to stop the nosebleed. I go back up, get another one, go back. I did it 4 times before. I'm like, fuck this. I'm staying down there. And I stayed in left field. I saw David Justice when he was on the Indians, and I was just see him play, and it was just really cool. So
yeah, if you go
It's a good
behind home
experience.
plate, it's even higher up.
Oh,
behind
God.
home plate. It's like you're looking straight down.
yeah.
I sat there with my brother's an Indians fan, so every couple of years we'd go out there with my cousins and stuff. And one year we sat up there. I'm like, I'm not sitting here again.
Yeah, right.
They don't have that rain delay in 2016. They're the World Series champs.
Oh yeah,
For sure.
They were making that comeback big time. They had that momentum going in that game, and then with a half-hour rain delay or whatever, and then the Cubs ended up pulling that out.
Sure.
But
If you had to lose to anybody, though, I mean, the Cubs is the easiest to stomach.
No, I'm a Yankee fan. Isn't in Cleveland where they had that bug game with Jabba Chamberlain?
Yep.
Yeah.
Where he was throwing, and the bugs were just attacking. I was like, oh my god! When you could see it on the camera, it's bad.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's bad.
Yeah.
So,
When they played this year, some of the local Cleveland news people were posting. They're like, "Oh, they're back," and they were showing the bugs. And it didn't happen like it did then. But
right. That was bad. That was really bad.
Now they're called murder hornets.
yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah. That's where we're at now.
Yeah,
Apparently.
the Cleveland murder hornets.
Oh
Yeah.
God.
I don't remember what those were called, but they were nasty. But
Yeah.
like they only came out like every 10 or 15 years or
Yeah,
something
sure.
like that. Weird.
Yep.
Crazy. It was all a ploy.
Absolutely.
It was all, yeah.
It still didn't
Gotta
work.
beat the evil empire.
And the band is saying 98, 99 would have been the Jake, a.k.a. Progressive Field now.
Yep.
Yeah. Back in the day, though, they had some great teams, too.
Oh, sure.
Manny Ramirez, Albert Bell.
Albert Bell,
David
man, I used
Justice,
to love him.
Kenny Lofton. They had some good players back then. How do you become a Steelers fan?
I was born in '79. We just had this conversation a couple weeks ago. The Cowboys were playing Steelers, and my cousin Frankie, the bass player, and Uncle Charley is a Cowboys fan, but his dad is a Steelers fan. So they had the big outdoor projection screen at the house, and I stopped up, and we happened to be talking about it. And when I was a kid, I remember like it was last week, like walking into my grandfather's house, and my Uncle Frankie's there, and he's just getting in my face. He's like, "Who's your favorite football team?" I'm like, "I don't know." He's like, "The Steelers." I'm like, "Okay." So I've liked the Steelers ever since. I don't know.
Steelers are nothing, boy. They pounded that in
Similar
your brain.
situation happened to me when I was younger. My Uncle Larry, who was my favorite uncle, was a Cowboys fan. So I was a Cowboys fan for a long time. But I ended up, the way that I jumped ship was I knew all of the players on the Buffalo Bills. I followed all of their games. I was a huge Bills fan, even though I was a Cowboys fan. And I'm like, I didn't know. It got to the point where I didn't know anybody on the Cowboys because I was a Cowboys fan when they had Troy Aikman and Emmitt Smith and all those guys. And I was like, you know what? I'm a Bills fan, man. It's just the way it is. And I gave up. I just was like, screw the Cowboys, and I'm just going to sign up to lose the rest of my life.
Yeah, screw the Cowboys.
So that's how that happened. But similar situation, though. It's like ingrained in me. You need to be a Cowboys fan.
I had season tickets for a couple of years. My wife and I.
Oh, cool.
It was insane. I think I'm still paying on them. It was had to be 10 years ago, 12 years ago, somewhere in there. But it was called Legends Club.
Oh,
so
cool.
they sent me this thing, and it was like $3,500 a ticket for the year. But you get all the home games. You get a 3-hour tailgate. Wow. All you can eat, all you can drink in like this big fancy like wedding type tent right outside the stadium.
Dude.
And then the former players come and hang out with you.
Oh, wow.
So like the very first game we go to, I'm sitting there, and it like I tell the story, but in my mind, I don't know if this really happened or not. The doors open up and the sun's like beaming, like you can't see, like you're blinded. Franco Harris walks in.
Oh.
I happen to be wearing a Franco Harris jersey. Comes over, signs my jersey, says hello,
Wow.
get pictures and everything, and
Man.
it was insane.
So it was worth the $3,500.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did it for 2 years, and then I was like, that's it, I can't.
Who else did you get a chance to meet?
Mike Logan. I got pictures of all the guys.
They're pretty much cool, right? You could take
Oh,
pictures
yeah, real
with them.
cool,
and,
yeah.
That's great.
Mike Wagner, one of the old safeties from the 70s, let me wear the Super Bowl ring. We got pictures with that.
Wow.
And we met him a couple times. He was always there. And one time we saw him. We said, "Hey, we were here, a couple weeks ago. You let us wear the ring." He goes, "I did. Must have been drunk. I don't let anybody wear that."
I swear to God, football, like our generation of football fans are like great because we grew up as like almost football historians. Like we learned about the history of the game. We learned about you can't help but be a fan of the older football teams. You know what I mean? Like even the Cowboys, Tom Landry, like those days. I mean, like he was a great coach, and like you go back to Super Bowl I, and Vince Lombardi. I mean, can you imagine being in that stadium and like seeing a great like that and Barstar, like all those guys? But we all grew up like that's what we were. Our parents and our grandparents would talk about that, and we grew up. And what a generation to grow up in, though. And then
My mom's cousin, her first cousin, Eric, worked at an architecture firm down in Dallas, and his boss was Roger Staubach.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
Man, you got some great connections.
It's
Yeah,
crazy.
seriously, man.
It's crazy.
And then talk about the Zito brothers. We started talking about that before we went on it,
Yeah.
right? Or did we talk about that in the beginning?
nope.
No, I think it was before. But I was talking to my dad, and I had heard the stories before when I was younger. But my grandfather's cousins were Torrey and Ronnie Zito. And Torrey Zito was the arranger, composer for Tony Bennett, and like tons of people. If you Wikipedia or Google them, like you can see all the stuff. But like the stories that I had heard was Tony Bennett and So my dad was telling me the story, and he says, yeah, he was on, a big contributor to John Lennon's Imagine album. Wow. I never heard that. But if you Google, he arranged all the strings for that album.
Wow.
Is this a local guy? Is he from Utica?
Yes, they're from Utica. Yep.
How do we not know that?
Yeah, and so Ronnie was a drummer. He played with a bunch of different people. Wow. But Tori we were talking about coffee. He did the Maxwell House commercial with the percolator, if you remember, from like the 80s.
Yeah.
He composed that. That was his jingle.
Really?
And so when Tony Bennett would come and play at the Stanley, my aunt's house right down the street here, the Zito brothers and Tony Bennett would go have coffee and cannolis and hang out and party at the house when he'd come into town.
Amazing.
It's just we keep adding names to that first ballot Hall of Fame there. We're gonna do. It's gonna be like, I don't know, 8 pages long of people that we need to induct first.
That's what Genesee Joe said the other day on last week's podcast, talking about the local music Hall of Fame, and you have to kind of dig deep for the first class.
Well, we would have to get a huge panel of people. I mean, a lot of the old guys, like guys from the Frogs and stuff, we'd have to get those guys together and be like, a panel of people to be like, let's narrow this down and get this done.
We're talking about the old timers, though, and that's what Genesee Joe was referring to. Is like there's a whole bunch of old timers, such as the Zito brothers, that we don't even really know about.
Right. Well, that's why I'm saying, to get like guys like Brian Mark Antonio, who knew those guys before, like the guys from the 70s would know those guys from the 50s, and you know what I mean, like, because they were growing up in that time. So I'm
trying to think of some of the other people that Bobby Darin they worked with. My dad was just telling me. I mean, I had heard from when I was a kid. I heard the Tony Bennett story. Obviously, but there was that, and then his wife, Tori's wife, was a famous singer actress, Marin. I'm gonna mess it up. I don't remember. My dad was just telling me a story. So she had a son. They got married. So Tori's stepson wrote "I Love Rock and Roll."
What?
Yeah. I got to Google the names or whatever.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Is the stepson
it's
local too?
Tori's stepson. No, I don't think so. I think they were from New York City, but I could be wrong.
I gotcha.
I think that was after he moved out to the city.
Do you come from a musical family?
I do. I'm probably the least talented one out of all of everybody.
I doubt that.
But
I doubt it too.
I mean, my sister has an incredible voice, and she doesn't use it. But like my grandfather on my mother's side, my great grandfather, he recorded an album, and I gotta remember it now. Irish lyric. I'm on the spot now. I can't remember. But anyway, he had he was an Irish tenor. He had an album. His brother Leo worked with Utica players and did a lot of arranging and composing for them. And then obviously we talked about the Zitos, but I mean my Uncle Tim, on my mom's side also, her brother, he's the one that really got me into, playing, being a musician or whatever. I mean, he was one of those guys who played everything. He was like 3 years older than me. He had a heart defect when he was born. Mm-hmm. They didn't expect him to live till past 3. He ended up living until he was 30. He passed away.
Oh, wow.
But like if you talk to my cousin Frankie, same thing. He was a big influence on us. And he used to tell me too, I never really took lessons or took it serious, I guess, but he always said, don't take lessons. You sound like whoever you take lessons from. Like just play, be you. But then looking back
Interesting advice.
Yeah.
But then looking back on it, it's like, well, yeah, to a degree, and then you meet these people and you play with them and you take pieces of this and pieces of that, and that's kind of how you become you or get your sound or whatever. But yeah, him, and then my other cousin Nick, that's on my dad's side. He was a pianist, vocalist. He got me my first drum set, which is another story. 1967 drum set that came from Karen Carpenter.
Wow.
Wow, dude. You don't still have it, do you?
I do. It's in my parents' basement. Yeah.
It was her drum set?
Well, the story goes, I actually called him a couple of days ago to get the story, because he's told me a bunch of times, I never get it straight, but he had a friend, again, was severely ill when they were kids. He's older than me, too. He ended up passing away, but before he did, he met Karen Carpenter. And as a gift, Karen Carpenter gave him this, it's a Fab 4 Ludwig Ringo kit. Gave it to him. When he passed it away, his dad gave it to my cousin Nick. And then years later, after Nick found out I was becoming a drummer, taking lessons or whatever, he gave me the drum set. So it's still in my parents' basement.
Wow. See, now it makes me want to go on YouTube and just research Karen Carpenter and see if there's like any videos of her playing this drum set. Like that would be sick.
I think it was more of like something she bought to give him. I don't think it was like her actual kit.
Is the drum kit really skinny?
Oh,
I had to. I'm sorry.
you know what the sad part is? I was thinking it, but I'm like, I can't say that kind of.
I'll say it.
It is a little jazz kit.
It's small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I still have that. So I mean, there's a lot of people in my family, and then Frankie's brother Matt is singing with us and playing guitar now too, and
Wow.
that whole side of the family, really, my Carville, my Irish side of the family, especially, a lot of musicians there.
You have a great pond to fish out of for musicians, man. I feel like the couple times that I have seen you, it's like Gaffney's playing with you, and like
sure.
you have. There's all these other people that coming in playing with you at all times, man.
I think that's when I first heard of the band was when Gaffney was playing with you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was when
again,
I first, you know.
all connections, just being lucky enough to be around these people and vibe with them. And but yeah, when we were doing Sour Mash, when we were first coming up with Sour Mash, it was the Gaffneys and the Crazy Fools that got us gigs and let us open for them and stuff. And we did that Skinner concert up at MKJ Farms with them. So it was like we were openers for the opener. So it was us and the Crazy Fools. That was a wild time. And then all the land stocks and everything.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we all played lacrosse together. I think that's where like Ryan and Johnny Sullivan, and then myself and Larry Gilio that I mentioned, we were all lacrosse buddies. So
Across the you were Whitesboro?
yeah,
Gotcha.
Cool. So that's the connection right there. High school.
yeah, for the most part, as far as getting in with those guys and stuff.
That generation too. I mean, well, it's our generation, but there was a lot of musicians that came out of Whitesboro then too.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like that. You guys like right in that 5 to 10 year range. There was a lot of musicians that came out then. So
And that's my biggest regret too, because I started when I went to school in 4th grade in Utica. Jeff Crigliano was my first teacher, and that's a funny story too, because I remember being at my grandfather's house Sunday night having dinner. Right, Monday I got to school. I'm starting drums. My dad drives me over from my grandmother's house to Pete's Music, and I'm sitting in the car, and he comes out with my rudiment book and my drumsticks and my rubber practice pad. And, and he gets in the car, and I remember it. And you know what song was on the radio? Phil Collins.
In the Air Tonight.
No. It'd be a better story if it was. But it was groovy kind of love.
Oh, groovy kind of love.
But it's funny because back then when I would play drums like in my bedroom or whatever, no lessons, I was like drumming along to the lyrics. I was like, we got a groove,
Yeah.
Like you don't think of the beat at the time.
Sure.
So I get home and I'm holding the sticks and there's like 2 blocks of wood and my dad's like, no. He took him, he played a little bit, I think, and he shows me like the traditional grip, right?
Sure.
So I'm like, okay, that's weird, but I'd never seen that before. And then the next day I get into lessons with Jeff Crigliano, and he goes, I hold the sticks like my dad shows me. He goes, no, we don't hold them like that. And he gives me, he goes back to
switches it to match grip,
to the match. So that was funny. But it's like certain things, it's funny how you remember them like it was last week.
Sure.
They just stick out or whatever. But yeah.
It's fun. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
How does the name Uncle Charlie and the Meatballs come about?
That was Adam and Sean, I think.
Okay.
So the whole Swifties things, we've talked about it before. So after Larry left for Nashville and Sour Mash kind of dissipated or whatever, Larry would come home for Christmas and he'd be like, we got to get a gig. And so like, it's hard to book a gig when you're not a band, nobody's heard you play or whatever. So we started up at Swifties. They were just like, yeah, come hang out here. They didn't pay us. They just gave us drinks and food. Like, all right. So all our friends would come. And so Larry came home. We booked that. And every year it'd just be different people. Like Larry'd show up and then Frankie wasn't available. So Sean would play or Al would come and play or we get John Hudson or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of how it started. So every year we were changing names. A couple of years it was at the Devereaux when Tony used to own it. Mm-hmm. He was friends with my buddy Corey, and he'd let us come there and play. So it was all over the place, different names all the time. And then, so one night we're rehearsing for the thing, and what name we're going to use, And Sean and Adam, I think, were talking about blues bands, how it's always so-and-so and the whatevers.
Right.
And then Shawnee just says, like, because we're all drinking, you say, Uncle Charlie and the Meatballs. We're like, all right, so we go with it. And that lasted a year. The next year we were something else. Then the third year we're back at Swifties. And there's this lady at the bar, and older lady. She's a regular there, but she was in the bag pretty good. And she goes, "Oh, you guys should have heard this band we had a couple of years ago. They were fantastic. Uncle Charlie and the Meatballs." We're like, this drunk lady remembers the name from 2 years ago. All right, we'll stick with it.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And that's how it happened. But I think
Awesome.
I think it was Shawnee's idea.
That's so awesome, man. What a great name. I love it.
Yeah. And it just occurred to us too, because you see Uncle Charlie, right? And then. But, like, there's people who think it's, like, a sexual reference, and we're like, wait a minute, we didn't think of that. Like,
Sure.
But it's not. It's you seeing Meatballs.
Right.
One of your cousins is checking in, Tone.
Uh-oh.
And explaining the whole Karen Carpenter set, as a matter of fact.
Oh, is it Nick?
No, Maria Graziano.
Oh, yeah, Marie. All right.
It was her set. It was a policeman's daughter who was Al and my dad, Nick Ventura, okay? And the little girl with Karen Carpenter and my dad contacted her and the staff, and she contacted him back and explained the situation, and she sent it to her.
Wow.
Okay, and then it was the Utica OD. Can't quite remember what year it was. Maybe the early 70s. Hi to my cousin Tony. Looking good. Love you. So
Yeah.
that's how that happened.
That's
It's so hard because people comment and they come in. So
Yeah.
as I'm trying to read, it gets knocked up.
It gets knocked up again, yeah.
I'm like, wait a minute. So it gets a little bit different.
That's Nick's sister, my cousin, who that whole side of the family, like, again, first show at Stage Road, first time I ever played out, they were all there. There's like 6 of them. The whole family shows up.
Wow.
So they've
Nice.
always been real supportive. You know.
Good
That's
that you got
wonderful.
the family support, man.
Oh, yeah?
Nothing beats that, man.
That's another great thing about Utica too. It's like it's tight knit families
Yeah.
around here and tight knit music community, and when they all come together, it's a party.
Yeah.
And it's one
I
big
can't wait till
party.
this shit ends too, because it's going to be an explosion of live music. I mean, just people
Right.
are just going to go crazy and just play. You know what I mean? We might actually get to the point where there's live music every night of the week again, like everywhere.
I hope so.
great.
You know, it should be so cool.
I hope so. One can
Let's
only
hope it
hope.
ends. Like, you know.
Right. I want to get off this Corona coaster, man.
Yeah, man.
I want to get off and get back to
You
some.
explained it so well when you named it that. It was like the Corona coaster.
It's
It was
what-
like
it's
it was
what it
so like.
There's been so many highs and lows
Yeah.
throughout this, right? I mean,
Yeah, we thought it was over, but you know, then you get the naysayers. Oh, you wait till winter time; it'll be back in the winter. Well, of course, it's like you know. I'm not saying it's like the flu, but it's like a flu where like it has a season.
People
you
have
know.
always gotten sick.
Sure.
They're going to continue to get sick.
Sure, sure.
oh wow, she's saying Hank Stanton was the policeman's daughter that was ill for that, and I know his son, as a matter of fact. So that's Hal Stanton. So crazy, small world. Well, it's small
Sure
town.
is.
That's the other thing I love about this area too. It's
Yeah.
deep. It's so deeply rooted.
Oh, yeah.
You could go anywhere in the United States and mention that you're from Utica to somebody, and somebody will have a story or know somebody or had a food
Yeah.
from here or pass through.
Sure.
Somebody's always got a story about Utica.
First person I met on my honeymoon in San Diego at 10:30 in the morning, San Diego time, was from Casanova.
Wow.
And like I'm like, you won't know where I'm from, and he's like, try me. I go, Frankfurt, New York. He goes, outside of Utica, right? I go, how do you know that?
All the way in San Diego.
In San Diego. First person I talked to. Didn't talk to anybody.
Yeah.
First person I spoke to was from Casanova.
I was in Vegas one time, and we went to see Steel Panther. We're coming back from the House of
Yes.
Blues, and I'm sitting on the tram from the House of Blues going back to where we were going, and there's a bunch of crazy Canadians. They're drunk, right? So we're in the back, and they like, hey, guys, where are you guys from, New York? I said, yeah, as a matter of fact, we are from New York. He goes, where, Utica? Like, who says Utica? First, it's usually Bronx, Manhattan,
sure.
Brooklyn. They don't say Utica. And I'm
Yeah.
like, well, as a matter of fact, I am from Utica. What made you say Utica? Because, oh, we're from Vancouver, eh? And that's the home of the Comets, right? So that's where they made the connection.
Wow.
Was from Utica. It's the only thing they knew about New York was the Comets.
Yeah.
How crazy is that?
It's so cool, man.
And I was like, you guys are my friends. We took pictures.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's insane.
I love that shit, man. Anytime
too.
you're out, I mean, somebody knows Utica, and like it doesn't matter. You just get excited, and you're like, oh my god, have you been there? Like, oh wow, you know. I mean, even I get excited when people are like, isn't that a stop on a thruway? Yes, it is.
right.
It is.
Well, you know what it is that in this hit, I never really thought of it this way, but we were hanging out at Gerber's one night. We closed down. I think my cousin Matt was playing solo gig there, and Mark, right? That's the owner's name.
Yeah.
He's talking. He's like, you know what's? You could feel it happening. I mean, obviously before all this, but he's like, it's its own culture here now.
Yeah.
You have music, you have food, you have the arts. Like,
Yeah.
it's a culture here, and it's like you never really thought of it, but you're absolutely right. Like this.
Yeah, I feel like it was all separate at one time, and now it's all of a sudden starting to come together. Like all the arts and music and food, like you're saying. I mean, we always had it, but it never got brought together.
Right.
You know what I mean? And now it's like it's all coming together as one. You know, like you said, culture. You know what I mean? And it's all one thing. You know,
And the locals are super passionate about what we have here.
for sure.
You know, and rightfully so.
Yep.
Rightfully so. Steel Panther and Uncle Charlie and the Meatballs to become a Steel Panther cover band. Would you think? Are you familiar with Steel Panther?
I'm not.
The greatest freaking band ever.
I think I've heard you mention them before, but yeah, no.
Greatest freaking band ever. But it's half comedy and then like half like a spoof band.
So it's like Spinal Tap.
It's Spinal Tap, but way better.
Oh, sure.
But they're real musicians. Spinal Tap weren't real musicians, but Steel Panther is.
Right.
And the musicianship in that band is at super high level. But yeah, check them out, man. It's hysterical. Those guys are one of the funniest bands out there, and they're doing crazy videos and stuff. In fact, one of the guitar players sent a video birthday message to Gary Johnson.
Yep, I saw that.
Oh no, actually, two of my friends got video birthday messages from Satchel. One of them, Gary Johnson, in the beginning of the pandemic, and then the other, Kevin Bull, sent one to his wife. And crazy.
That's
man.
so cool.
Yeah, crazy, funny stuff. They're hilarious. Check them out.
I will.
It's a spoof. It's this '80s spoof band.
Well, it's like that's how the Monkees started out, right? They were just kind of like the original boy band. Like they just threw them together. Like here, you're musicians now. And
they never played either. The Monkees never played. I don't think. I think they all like eventually learned how to play their instruments.
Right.
Like but I forget the drummer's name.
Mickey Dolenz.
Mickey Dolenz, yeah. But
singing drummer.
Yeah, singing drummer, but he never really played the drums, I guess. And like they all learned, and then that's when they started. That's when they started touring. Was when they could finally play their own instruments.
Right.
Wow, and they were the original boy band.
Yeah, well,
the Beatles.
I think they just put them. Well, I mean,
the
like,
Beatles. You can't say the Beatles because they actually really did play their own instruments right from the start. So,
but I mean, we're like whoever did the TV show or whatever. I think just put them together and like, here, you guys are a band now.
Right.
Learn,
Yeah, exactly.
Learn to play and,
Yep.
So they're the original New Kids on the Block, then.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, exactly.
The Monkees.
Yep.
Here we come.
Yep.
Yeah,
I remember
for sure.
watching the reruns of that when I was a kid.
Right.
Nickelodeon. Yeah.
We did their version of Daydream Believer when we first started playing together, our band. Yeah.
Yeah, some good songs.
Yeah.
I like the Monkees.
I can't remember who wrote those songs. Oh, Carole King.
Wrote what?
She wrote Daydream Believer.
No, that was Bob Dylan, I thought.
Carole King.
Carole King wrote it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. No, you know what I'm thinking of is Mr. Tambourine Man. I was thinking, because the Byrds did Mr. Tambourine Man, and I, for some reason, was thinking about that. That's Bob Dylan.
You're right, Carole King.
Carole King?
Yeah, because they just did
When you
that.
think about that,
The beautiful Broadway play. It's the story about her.
Ah, gotcha. Okay.
And she's wrote so many songs. It blow you away how many songs she wrote. And I can't think off the top of my head, but yeah, Daydream Believer was
so
her.
cool.
She inked that one. Good stuff, man.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Have you guys been doing live streams?
We did a couple, just try it out, kind of dip our toes in the water.
Yeah.
We did one for the Killer Brew, and then we did one just kind of messing around at Adam's garage, actual garage he's got now, which is kind of cool because we got, cars he's working on in the background and on lifts and everything.
That's cool.
But like I said, we got a couple that we're brainstorming, kind of putting together now. I think the Blues Society wants to do something. You had mentioned the drive, but we were talking about doing something with Swifties, obviously not at Swifties, but just because it's a tradition of ours.
Yeah.
Trying to do something with them. Just kind of spitballing right now.
Yeah.
It's the way the world is going right now. I'd live stream. I think the live stream thing is going to be here forever, though.
It should be.
Even after the Corona coaster's over with.
Should be, absolutely. I loved it when we didn't play for 2-3 months. You know what I mean? We weren't doing anything, and like just to be able to come back and play as a band and like hear that and feel that feeling again. It was just,
It's hard though. Like you had Nick on the other day, and everything he said, I agreed with. Just like you're expecting somebody to be on the other side of the camera, and like there's not that give and take energy happening.
Right?
Yeah, that's the toughest part. You almost kind of have to forget about the camera, just like almost look at it as like a rehearsal in a sense that like when we set up in rehearsal, we're always set up in like a circle, so we're all facing each other, and we're spread out a bit, but we had a camera angle where you couldn't see anybody's face at all. You just knew that we were all there, and then we had one camera angle that was like on Joe and Mike, and that was it. And like we threw it together, like we tried really hard to get it going like the way it should be, but
it's a lot of work.
It is.
People don't understand it's a lot of work.
Ton of work.
You
it
can
really
sit there and
is.
put your iPhone on a tripod. I mean, it's all fine and dandy, but do you really want that quality to be iPhone quality, or do you really want to put it out as something, a little bit better quality?
Yep.
And putting it together with multi-camera angles and stuff. It takes some work.
You could make an iPhone camera work.
You can.
In essence, if you have good bandwidth, like good web bandwidth. I mean, if you got just a cheap little router and a Wi-Fi system, I mean, you're never going to be transferring 4K over anywhere. You know what I mean? But I mean, because the iPhones now can shoot in 4K, but might not be the same resolution that you would get on the good cameras. But
it's amazing technology.
It really is. It's incredible.
That's what we got Frankie for. Frankie does all that. He's got this camera with his XLR inputs and everything. But
is that a thing with you guys? Everybody has a job in the band?
Yes and no. I mean, I have the most gear. So I got the sound stuff and I got the drums, so my van is loaded right up. But Frankie, he's the engineer, so he loves that recording and the mixing and all that. He does that. Adam's got the spot, and it's just the way it works out. Because Colin comes from Lafayette, so he just moved out there. He was from Rome. He's out in Lafayette now. So Adam's garage is in Munnsville, and it's a closer drive for Colin. So, I mean, it's just the way it works out. We don't say, hey, you're doing this, you're doing that. It's just everybody pitches in, and that's the way it works out.
It's kind of how it was with us.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, does everybody have a job with you guys, too?
Kind of. I mean, like, Joe's the engineer of the band. Like, he really, really dove in the past few years, really learning the ins and outs of sound. And I mean, I guess being a musician, especially us, I mean, we soak up stuff. We're all like sponges, you know what I mean? So it's, but you find something that really interested in and go with it. I mean, mine has always been, harmonies and theory and like stuff like that. Like that's where my strength is. So like, I kind of take the reins a little bit in rehearsal. Jose is the guy that, talks to basically everybody, but he's got that boisterous personality and that, that fun loving,
he's a big, cuddly teddy bear.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, Mike is, when Mike Morrow, the keyboard player, like he had that signature hat and like he does his thing and he dances behind the keyboards. He's the guy that nobody knows is there. Like we play Vernon Downs and like he'd be stuck in the back, and we get asked after the show, "You guys like play the sequences or tracks or something?" We're like, "No, we have a keyboard. You did? You got a keyboard player?" Like it was like crazy,
Mike gets no love.
But and then Jerry's your quintessential. I mean, just the voice, man. He's the voice, and it's to do what he's done in his time, being in Night Watch in 1983, and then taking all that time off to raise kids, and then to come back and, be him, and it's incredible. So yeah, I mean, everybody's got a job, everybody does their thing, but it never was a sign, like you said, it was never a sign. It was just, what we all enjoyed doing. So,
right on.
Yeah,
very cool, man. Do you expect to do any live streams anytime soon? Do you have anything planned or any kind of gigs? Anything you could promote?
The ones we're working on, I mean, there's nothing solid or concrete to promote right now, but the ones we're working on, probably the Swifties one will be like holiday time.
Could promote. You got merchandise though.
I'm actually excited that that's going to be that's going to be live streamed just because I'll get to see it. That's awesome.
This is cool.
That design was my daughter's 12 now, but I think she was 8 or 9 when she designed that, and we had it put on a T-shirt.
That's so cool.
Your daughter drew that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, she's got some talent.
Yeah. Well, it was a little bit more raw when she drew it. When we brought it to the T-shirt company,
I got this one too. I love this one.
Yeah.
Kind of take it off.
That's so cool.
Uncle Charley and the Meatballs. It's awesome. Thank you so much, man.
Wait, I got the hat.
You got the hat? Yeah.
Love it.
Nice. I make sure I get you a Disruption shirt when we're done with this, man.
Yeah. And so you can, if you like the merch, you can get us. We're on Facebook Messenger right now.
Cool.
So, I mean, we're like you were talking about earlier, looking to switch. It seems like everybody's migrating from Facebook, Instagram, looking for something else. So
yeah,
we're gonna jump on that bandwagon too. I think.
Right now it's Twitch.
Yep.
If people are jumping over to Twitch, it looks better on Twitch.
Yeah,
they've got a lot of great stuff going on. It's more of a community on Twitch. Mm-hmm. People are super supportive. I got friends that are musicians that are doing quite well playing on their live stream every time they go live.
I think that's what we're all trying to go for, is just to get that support and that and the feels. You know what I mean? You got to and to have people comment and be that community end of it.
Yeah.
great for everybody.
And it's from all over. It's such an international audience. So our good friend Joe Altier, who's going to be a guest on the show in the next couple of weeks, and we'll get into him, pick his brain about Twitch when he does come on. But he goes on live, and he'll play for 4 hours. And he'll do quite well just with tips and people subscribing and stuff. It's a free platform, but there's so many different options, and you can just tip the artist or make a donation or subscribe to their channel. So they have it's pretty neat. You know, it takes you away from the Facebook hustle and bustle. And Facebook has gotten so political.
Yeah, sure.
And it's disgusting. Yep. It is. It's so disgusting. The baby boomers is what ruined Facebook. I'm going to say it right now. It's true, because there was no politics before the baby boomers got there.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden the baby boomers got there, and it became hateville.
Yep.
You know, because they can't stand the youth today. And here we are, Generation X. Like, you know, you guys, stop, stop, both of you. You know,
it's crazy.
But it is what it is. But you know, it's just like MySpace. MySpace was super hot for a while, and then it died out, and then it went to Facebook. Just something. There's going to be another one after this is. And there's always going to be some kind of constant momentum going with social media platforms.
Sure.
And then eventually we're all going to be holograms, and we'll be. It's going to be hologram social media.
Right. Exactly.
It's like that Disney movie WALL-E. Everybody's just sitting in their chair, and like everything just happens for you. You just sit there and.
That would suck, though.
Yeah, it's scary.
I can't just sit there.
Yeah, scary.
I had too much ADD to just sit there.
Sure,
You know?
Yeah.
But right on, brother. Yep. Promote your website, how people could get some of your merchandise and all the things you're
like
doing.
I said, right now, the best way, I mean, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram. Facebook's probably the easiest right now until we migrate, find something else. So Messenger, if you like the merch, everything's 20. The black ones, like you said, it says Who's Uncle Charlie on the back, because whenever we play and people hear the name, they're like, well, which one of you is Uncle Charlie? Who's Uncle Charlie? Yeah. And I wore that shirt in Disney one year, and we get in the elevator and not thinking anything of it, and I hear the guy behind me, so who is Uncle Charlie? And I'm like, oh, that's my band. Like, so you get to talk about it. It's genius marketing.
Sure.
Each night get to take over the role of Uncle Charlie, each member?
Yeah,
like,
well...
One day somebody will be different Uncle Charlie, and the next day he's Uncle Charlie?
Well, by default, Frankie and I being the Italians, we're like, we're the Meatballs, so it's not up to us. But, we'll just... Either Bish will hold up a beer or whatever, or we'll just be like, you decide. Like, we don't have an answer, so...
Sure.
But it's just the beer. That's all.
It's all about the beer, especially in this town.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
You know, and the more you drink, the better we sound.
Yep.
For sure.
Exactly.
Awesome, Tony. Thanks so much for hanging today.
Yeah,
man. Thanks for having me.
This is fun. It was
Such
good
a
to
good
catch
time.
up with you. Are you playing anywhere this weekend?
Yeah,
bro?
I'm playing 3 times this week.
Whoa, normalcy.
Hold the phone. Hold the phone. Wednesday we're at Lucan's, night before Thanksgiving. That'll be like a 6 to 10 show.
I keep forgetting it's Thanksgiving.
I know, right?
Doesn't even feel like it, does it?
Yeah, and Friday, Showtime Trio at 1 Jenny. That'll be, I believe, a 7 to 10 show. Something like that. Obviously, we got to end at 10 now. And then Saturday, Poor Tim Band will be, and that's the full band. So McGlory on keyboards, Lenny Jr. on drums, myself and Sean, and I think Gary Johnson's going to play bass that night too. So that'll be Saturday.
Where?
At Fratello's, sorry.
Fratello's?
Yep.
Oh, cool. Big ups to our friend Brian over at Fratello's.
Love Brian, man.
Yeah, good
Live
man
music
right
every
there.
night of the week, every time he can, whatever he can do, you know.
He's the one doing it. He's about the only one doing it right now.
Yeah, and he's like the only place in Frankfurt, in the village anyway, that has anything.
Yeah.
So.
I gotta get out there. I'm in Schuyler, so it's a short drive.
Oh, dude, you got to come down, man. It's great there. I love it.
I've never been there.
Is there a bunch of support in the crowd and people come out?
Oh yeah. Oh my God, yeah. And and believe it or not, I really think that the music and the crowd for the music has outgrown the building, even though it's a bigger building than what he had before. But it's just it's such a cool vibe there. And I mean, he does Monday night 50-cent wings. I mean, so the smell of chicken wings and beer and bands. It's just like it's that whole feeling. But it's just such a good vibe there, and it's built quite the community over there in that little place. So we love it.
Awesome. Cool. Well, have a great weekend. I can't believe it's Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to all.
Absolutely.
And I can't believe it's here already. The holidays.
It's crazy.
It goes by so damn fast, and this year has been kind of on pause, but it still flew right by.
Yep.
Yeah, flew right by. Man, 2020.
Get it over with.
Yeah, right. Get it over with. But who knows what's going to happen next year, too. Well, hopefully it's one big bash once this is all over.
Yeah, for sure.
Like Justin was saying earlier, that we can have one big local band fest.
Yeah,
that'd be insane.
Yeah, right. We'll block off Genesee Street and just party and rage.
Dude, everybody stays, and then we all get on stage together after. It'd be great.
Yeah.
Like 40 guitar players, like
the boys are back in
13
town.
drummers. Only one bass player because we don't need more than one bass player.
Hey.
Sorry. I mean, I'm sorry, man. I mean, you know.
What song would you do for everybody at the end? What would be the ultimate collaboration with like 40 people?
Like, I don't know. I think we should do like with a little help from my friends, something like that. You know what I mean? Like just
Good one.
You know.
Yeah.
I think that'd be kind of be cool, or you know, I don't know. I think that's the first thing that came to mind. So
that's a good one. I like that. Nice, Justin. I always think it, buddy. Nice. Well, Tony, thanks for hanging with us.
Thanks for having me.
This has been awesome. Let's do it again really soon. And
Absolutely,
you know,
anytime.
if you got any shows or an album or whatever you need to promote, please use my platform, man.
Thank you so much.
Please do so. One guy that uses my platform often, and that's EJA Moving Services, the professional movers. When you're ready to move and relocate and you need them to move pretty much whatever you need to move, they can do it for you. They're a logistics guy, and they're nice. They're reputable young men. They say ma'am and sir. They wear back braces. They wear masks. They're just great boys.
you'll move your band.
They'll move your band.
Yes.
Actually, when it's time, dude, when you need roadies, you should hit these guys up. It's got a bunch of box trucks and
I love it.
Yeah, they're awesome. And they'll even transport your car. If you're a snowbird, they will transport your car. They do office moves, they do studio moves, gym equipment, they'll move college moves, whatever you need. Give them a call today at 315-335-0516. Also, much love to my attorney, Dave Longaretta. If you give him a call today at 315-735-6162, he will give you legal advice because he's that damn good, and he's been keeping me out of trouble since probably the early 90s. So big ups to Dave. I love him. Also, much love to Utica Coffee, wakethehellup.com, and of course, as we mentioned before, the Saranac Brewery. Also, Disruption Network has merchandise. I thought I had one in reach, but I don't. We do have some merchandise, so if you're interested in some Disruption Network merchandise, hit us up, slide in my DMs, or go to our website too, because we do have a store that's live right now at disruptionnetwork.net. So I will be back tomorrow with Chilling with the Rick.
Yeah.
I'm going to be chilling with the Rick.
Yeah, I've been talking to him.
Yeah, you're going to be on a show,
I'll be on
right?
a show, yeah.
Yeah, when's that?
It'll be sometime next season, so it'll be next year.
Next year?
Yeah, it'll be next year. So I'm looking forward to it. You know, I've really dug the interviews, especially DR. His interview is good, and of course yours. I mean, I had to watch yours.
I was a motor mouth that day.
Yeah.
I didn't stop.
It's usually me.
Yeah.
So usually I'm the motor mouth. I don't shut up. So
It's his show. I didn't even let him talk. I was on like 5 cups of yerba mate. I'm like, all right, let's do this. I'm chilling with the Rick. Here we are. Oh, my God. I felt bad for the guy. But no, Rick's a great guy and a big supporter of the local music scene. So looking forward to talking to him. And then on Wednesday, Laura from Oh Babies is coming on. I haven't seen Laura in a while.
Wow.
I love that pizza.
Yeah.
I love their food, what she's doing over there. She's got that Goliath sandwich. It's just unbelievable. But she's got a punk rock podcast going on right now.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so we're going to promote her punk rock podcast. And she's got a lot of cool things that she's doing. She's also, they tried to put this festival together at Punksylvania.
Ooh.
Which it was a punk fest in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
But of course, COVID killed all that.
Right.
But she's still waving the flag for putting that festival on for 2021. So talk to her about that on Wednesday. And of course, Thursday being Thanksgiving, we won't be around for that. But the Uncle Louie Variety Show, who's normally on Thursday nights on the D, is going to switch over to Wednesday this week. So we'll have a little pre-Turkey Day celebration with the Uncle Louie Variety Show. Like, subscribe, comment, all things Disruption Network. And we'll see you tomorrow. Later.
All right.